listening to The Jake Asman Show on the SportsMap Radio Network.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage.
Live from the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's Jake Asman.
The PGA Championship is underway in South Carolina, and to break it all down and talk about the top storylines this week in golf, a senior writer at Golf Digest, one of the best in the business. He's Alex Myers, and he joins us right now on our progressive guest line. Alex, appreciate the time as always, my friend. I hope all is well.
Yeah, man, great to chat.
No doubt. So, I love getting you on when we have, a big golf tournament, a big major championship, of course. What do you, though, Alex, when you think, think about this upcoming week here and, of course, the championship already underway, what's the biggest storyline that you're going to be locked in on?
I think everybody's wanting Jordan Spieth to kind of, he's back. But is he capital letters back? And to get to that point, I think we need to see him win a major. And to do it this week would make history as well. He'd be the sixth person to complete the career Grand Slam. So, it's been 4 years since his last major at the 2017 British Open. He's actually statistically, tee to green this year, been the best player on tour. So, he certainly looks like he's got it back. He won the one tournament, the Valero. He contended at the Masters, had a couple blow-up holes that held it back. But I think everybody, you can see golf Twitter get so excited when he gets in the hunt. And I think, he deserves to be one of the favorites coming into this week. And I think most people will be watching him.
Alex, what has changed with his game over the last couple months that's allowed him to return to the guy we saw at the very beginning of his career?
Yeah, well, that's the key. I mean, he really just returned to it. I mean, what people don't realize is in 2015 when he had that historic year, contending at all four majors, winning the first two. Yes, he made a lot of long putts. That's kind of the narrative. He made every putt. But he really was one of the best iron players on tour, and that carried over even into the next year when he was still number one in the world. His iron game has just fallen off the map the last couple of years. So, he's been working to get that back, to hone that in. And the other club that just has killed him, obviously, is the driver. Ranking near literally the bottom of the list on tour in strokes gained off the tee these past couple of years. This year, however, he's turned it around. There's even one day I think it was at the Players, he led the field in strokes gained off the tee for a round. Just unheard of for him. So he's actually kind of taken that negative and turned it into even a slight positive for him. So that's been a huge key.
Alex Myers, senior writer at Golf Digest, with us here talking all things PGA Championship. And this event was last held at Kiawah Island in 2012. What is it about this ocean course that makes it so difficult? What should us viewers, what should we expect? What should we keep our eye out on, throughout this week here watching this championship?
Sure. Well, I mean, technically it's going to play as the longest major championship in history. It's almost 7,900 yards. So right there, it's playing pretty long. Obviously, that'll test the guys. But it's the wind. I mean, it's always the wind here. You're talking about a course that's built on the coast of the Atlantic Ocean. It's out on an island off the coast of Charleston. Even a mild day, as we're seeing early on, you can still see the flags kind of flapping in the breeze. And, you go back to 2012, it was in August. The winds weren't quite what you see this time of year. But that being said, that Friday, the winds picked up for one day, and the scoring average in that second round in 2012 was over 78, which is the highest single-day scoring average in PGA Championship history. So we did get a taste of it in 2012. Then obviously things calmed down over the weekend, and Rory went nuts, and he won by 8. But certainly the wind is going to be a factor. And even though, right now these guys getting off early have it pretty easy, but it should be picking up later in the day for sure, and it's going to be a factor for the entire tournament.
Alex Myers with us here talking all things PGA Championship. When you look at some of the favorites here, obviously you just mentioned Rory McIlroy. Is he deserving of being the favorite here? Do you think his game, of course, will play well over the next couple of days?
I'm not all aboard the Rory bandwagon yet. I know he did win his last start at the Wells Fargo. Of course, that was another course where he has a tremendous track record on at Quail Hollow. So I kind of need to see a little more. I don't, him going off at 10-1 odds. I think when he won that event, he basically got cut in half from 20-1 to 10-1, and he jumped into being the favorite. I'm not quite on board yet. And, he's actually had an amazing start. He hit his first tee shot off the map and into the water on the 10th hole. And you're thinking, oh boy, here we go again. We saw what he did at Royal Portrush when he made that triple bogey on the first hole at the British Open. And he recovered. He made a bogey, and now he's added, a couple birdies since. So he's actually pulled himself to 1 under despite just an amateur looking shot off that 10th hole to begin his round. So an interesting start for him. I'm still not all in on him. I know, he's, of course, everybody's going to gravitate to him having won by 8 shots the last time he was here, but that was 9 years ago. So it's been a long time since then.
No doubt. Brooks Koepka, a guy we got to talk about, 2-time PGA champion. My question to you is this: just how healthy do you think Brooks is? And do you see him being a factor this weekend?
I don't think he's very healthy, and I don't see him being a factor just because, and he got off to a tough start on the first hole. He's since bounced back a little as well. He's playing with Rory. He made a double bogey on the first hole, which he was playing the 10th. I just, when you watch a guy who can't bend over properly to pick the ball out of the hole or read his putts, it's just hard for me to imagine that he's at 100%. He hasn't played much since the Masters where he missed the cut. I appreciate that he's a big competitor and he wants to get out there. I don't think he would be playing if it was a major. I think he would have taken more time off. And frankly, if you look back at the last 2 years, I think he's got to be kicking himself for not taking more time off because, he's taken time off here and there, but he's come back and re-aggravated this knee over and over again. And now we're talking about a couple years in a row almost where he hasn't really done anything in a major. And this is a guy who we were expecting to win every other major, it seemed, for a while. So I think he needs a little time off to really heal up. And no, I mean, even at 50-1 this week, I didn't touch him.
It's interesting that he didn't just take more time off because,
Right.
He would even tell you, that he's all about, just winning majors.
Right.
So, he doesn't need to play in some of these tournaments. He just cares about winning majors.
That's a good point. And now that there's 4 majors in 4 months, you could take the other 8 months off almost and just get prepared for that. But it's weird. He had a tough first half of the year last year, and he kind of got into form right around major season, and then he got hurt again. He came back this year, and it looked like he was ready to go. Then he got hurt again. I think it's one of those things. Hindsight's 20/20, but I think he's just such a competitor, and he thinks he's a tough guy that he can overcome these injuries. But sometimes you just gotta let them heal.
Alex, who was your pick before this event started to win the whole thing?
So it's not a crazy pick here, but I'm just stunned to see the disrespect he's getting. Dustin Johnson is the world number 1, and he's at 18-1 odds. He's getting the same odds at some books as Xander Schauffele and Victor Hovland. I mean, I love those guys, but they're not Dustin Johnson. They're not number 1 in the world. They're not a 2-time major champ. I realize he hasn't been as sharp, obviously, as he was in the fall when he won the Masters by 5 shots. But I just think for a world number 1, a 2-time major champ, he's got the length. He can flight the ball low. I think the putting won't be as big of an issue this week for everybody because they're so unfamiliar with these greens. It's actually a different kind of grass than almost anywhere else, called paspalum. I think I'm pronouncing that right. So, I don't think it's going to be a putting contest. I think that works for him. I think the length works for him. Again, hitting it low. I think of all the long hitters, I think he's probably the most accurate in terms of not having that big wild miss that we've already seen from Rory today, like we've already seen from Bryson. So I just think I couldn't believe he was sitting there at 18-1. So I gobbled him up. He's my pick to win.
Love it. Alex Myers, senior writer at Golf Digest, with us here. You can follow him on Twitter at AlexMyers3. Alex, is there anything new in regards to Tiger Woods' recovery that you're hearing? What's the latest with Tiger?
Not much. I mean, obviously we've heard different players who have visited him, from Rory to JT to Ricky Fowler. They've all kind of reported back that they've been pleasantly surprised, I think, by his spirits and his condition. So I think that's a good sign. I haven't heard anything in terms of him even chipping yet or anything like that. But, we saw Steve Stricker yesterday, the Ryder Cup captain, say he wants to get him involved be a vice captain. They already had a Zoom call recently to discuss that. As we know, you see those guys just zooming around on golf carts the whole time anyway. So maybe, hopefully, Tiger could handle that by the fall. That would be cool. We know how much he's loved being involved in those team events the last few years. So, I think overall, just, positive. I still think we're not anywhere near setting any sort of, sound timetable for any sort of comeback. But from what Ricky has said, it sounds like the fire is still there. And, I think we're at least going to get an attempt of a comeback from him, which I'm sure all golf fans will like to see. But I think we're just going to have to be a little patient at this point.
Finally, Alex, I'd be remiss if I did not ask you about our Knicks. Are you ready for playoff basketball at Madison Square Garden starting Sunday?
I mean, Jake, I can't believe that we have playoff basketball to look forward to. It's just absolutely wild. And the fact that the Garden's actually going to be pretty packed. I think I heard 13,000 in there. I mean, we all know what a great place that is when you have a good team and you have the city behind you and everything. That place is going to be rocking on Sunday. I like the matchup in the 4-5. That was a fantastic way to finish the season, to get up there. You wanted to avoid those top 3 seeds in the East. So, winning, just getting to this point, obviously, is a victory. But winning a playoff series, man, I can't even imagine. That'd be fantastic. Very exciting stuff.
Absolutely, Alex. Appreciate you hopping on. Enjoy the rest of this major championship here, and I'm sure we'll talk soon.
Sounds good, Jake. Thanks for having me on. Take care.
Alex Myers with us there on our Progressive guest line, and of course, drivers who save with Progressive save over $750 on average. Follow Alex on Twitter at AlexMyers3. He does a great job talking PGA, writing about the PGA for GolfDigest.com. We'll take a quick break, wrap up our hour 1 of 2. Jake Asman with you here on a Thursday. This is the Jake Asman Show.